Hey guys, good evening, Flamengo fans. This is Flamengo. Welcome to the Paparazzo Rubro Negro channel. If you're just arriving, I invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe down below, turn on notifications, hit the bell, and leave a cool like on the video. We're here thanks to our sponsor, Assist365. Look, the World Cup is starting and you can secure your spot in the United States, Mexico, and Canada for the World Cup games. And it's really important for you to think that, man, look, if an emergency happens, you don't have to pay out of pocket. You're already fully covered. Assist 365 keeps you safe in any emergency situation. Okay, outside of Brazil, you can get your quote right now. Just get in touch with Assist 365. There's a QR code on the screen, a link in the card, and a pinned comment in the description. This is a trustworthy company, right? In fact, they always handle my travel insurance. So it's really important to travel backed by a serious company that will give you great support if anything happens. God willing, nothing will, knock on wood, but if it does, you'll be covered. All right, let's go. We're here with some important information for you. I just want to remind everyone here, look, just remember to play responsibly. It's for people over 18, it's for fun, not an investment. Remember that our tips channel is available and we're also coming in with a new sponsor. So man, new partner here on the channel, which is Stake, right? A very serious global company that's going to bring some really interesting odds for you all. Interesting tips too, man. On our Telegram tips channel. So go ahead and access our channel and you'll get some links with super odds, right, man? It's also going to be really cool during the World Cup. For Brazil's games, we'll be bringing interesting tips here with tickets already prepared for you on Stake, okay? I'd also like to thank Stake for their trust and for being with us. Exactly at this moment, as we're getting to the World Cup and many sponsors are approaching and coming in, Mate Leão has a lot of big sponsors here together with the Paparazzo Rubro Negro channel. Let's go ahead and bring this important information right away, okay? Regarding Marcos Leonardo, guys, and I've got fully verified information for you, okay? It came out here, actually, it's a verified journalist from Arabia, right? Yeah, it came out here, look, news from Al Hilal, okay? According to what was found with Isaac's report to the administration as it came to me, some of the news I heard that concerns Al Hilal, okay? The translation might not be perfect since it's from Arabic. One, the probability of Isaac staying now is higher despite disagreements between him and the board. Two, the administration is working. The administration is always the board, right? They are working seriously to bring Cancelo back since there is no serious offer from Barcelona. And Barcelona wants the player for a lower price because they know the player is a fan of Barcelona. And Al Hilal will not accept less than 10 million euros, whether it's a loan, sale, or agreement. Otherwise, it won't happen at Al Hilal. Now, number 4 is what matters to us. Marcos Leonardo is the closest to a loan deal. Isaac believes in Nunes' abilities and that he plays in 3 positions, forward, winger, and also behind the winger. Isaac doesn't want Benzema and demands a war striker. Clearly, right? In case of a bad exit, the foreigner will be Leo, right? That will be Inzaghi's request. Isaac, he talked here about the issue with Marcos Leonardo, okay? About all this news involving Al Hilal, he says that Marcos Leonardo is the closest to being loaned out. He doesn't mention the club, he doesn't mention the destination. And then I did some checking here with a source connected to Flamengo's board saying that Al Hilal is going to release Marcos Leonardo on loan. So what now? I asked, is there a chance he could come on loan to Flamengo? Is there a chance that Flamengo could possibly get this loan? Since that's not what's being talked about, it's that Flamengo won't have that much money to sign players in the middle of the year. They'll have to sell some players to meet their targets, and that big signing wouldn't happen now. Yeah. So I asked, could it be that Marcos Leonardo might come on loan? They said, we don't want him. Look at that, okay? The information I got is that they don't want someone so strong to compete with Pedro. They want someone young, right? Or they want a young player who can also let Pedro rest. In other words, it's not that Flamengo is looking for a big name for the attack, a player as strong or as famous as Pedro, but Flamengo is mainly looking for a young player, okay? And that matches exactly with the information I gave you that Flamengo was looking for an active player in Argentine football, a forward in Argentine football, okay? In the South American market, I told you that this was Flamengo's intention and this was Flamengo's target. At the moment, Flamengo was looking for a player in Argentine football. It wasn't closed yet, but there's a chance it will be, so that's the news. Regarding Marcos Leonardo, what he told us is that probably yes. Flamengo is not going to sign Marcos Leonardo. That's why, knowing that most fans want him, rate him highly, and think he's a very good player, right? So, honestly, we know that the fans are going to be a bit frustrated, wanting Luis Henrique, wanting strong names in the market. I still believe I'm with Bruno Castagna. I still believe that Flamengo is going to sign someone really strong in this next transfer window, okay? Flamengo will be able to sign. I don't know if it's a market opportunity without spending too much, but Flamengo will bring in someone really strong, okay? Also bringing here for you guys the explanation from Boto about the issue. He talked, right, actually explained the dismissal of Felipe Luis, and said that it's necessary to make changes and all that. Look, let's take Boto's statement here. Here in Brazil, almost every day is a trial by fire for management. Leonardo Jardim talked about this, right? Because there are many emotional issues that we're not used to in Europe, we make decisions in a more rational way. There isn't this emotion. So any decision here is always emotional. There's always a big repercussion, especially in the press and among the fans. Now, it was the decision we thought was the most correct at the time. Firing Felipe Luis has nothing to do with the coach's value, which he proved by winning here. All of that, everything is, but sometimes to keep winning, you need to make changes, and that's what we thought. Yeah, whether we were right or not, we'll see at the end of the season. Some say we wouldn't have won Carioca Championships without making those changes, and that change was needed then. When you have to make decisions, you never know where they'll lead, but that's why we're in this position. It's for us to make these decisions and then also deal with their consequences, okay? Yeah, that's when he brought up the issue. He talked again about the influence of the emotional aspect within Brazilian clubs. In Boto's assessment, this emotional connection exists in national football. He said, I'm the one who identifies the problem and gives the solution. Maybe because he's European, he doesn't feel as much of that emotional side of Felipe's farewell here. But in other cases, there's also a lot of emotion, which I'm not saying is bad, it's good. The passion created by soccer is good, but I often notice that it makes it harder to make the decisions that need to be made. While in Europe, we've already gone through that phase and we're more pragmatic. We make the decisions we think are the right. We don't think about what people are going to think or what their reaction will be. Here, there's more concern about that. In other words, he made it clear that the board, in every decision at Flamengo, also cares about public opinion, right? Yeah. Oh. So he went on to say again that he considers Leonardo the most adaptable coach, able to adapt to different situations. If we look at his time at Monaco, it had nothing to do with the style at Sporting, where he also coached. That was also one of the reasons that led us to choose him. We knew he would adapt well to what he had here to work with. The transfer window was already close too, and we couldn't make many changes. And he's a very good coach for doing that. As for the profile, no, I don't think it's that different, okay? So Boto made it clear that the change involving Felipe Luis at that moment was necessary. All right. And man, I'm going to tell you guys here. I was listening to a very influential person in the football world talking to me off the record, talking about all of this, about Brazil, whether Brazil had a chance or not to win the World Cup and everything else. And then what this person told me was that if Ancelotti, who is Italian, manages to put in place a kind of system like Italy used, since Italy won the World Cup a few times that way, without playing beautiful soccer, right? Winning 1-0, 2-1, 1-0, 2-1 through grit with a good defense and all that, he might have that chance, right? And I'll tell you guys that I liked what I saw in the second half. I think it's possible. I think it's possible. Let me bring you another important piece of information. Flamengo has surpassed Palmeiras in the number of players called up for the 2026 World Cup. Yeah, and it will be represented by 9 athletes on the field during the World Cup. That is counting Arrascaeta, who has been confirmed, okay? So, Flamengo with this list, it's impressive, man. Really impressive. Yeah, Gonzalo Plata Paquetá, Alexandre Danilo, Arrascaeta, De La Cruz, Varela, Carrascal, Flamengo with 9 players. And there's still Leonardo, if you count that, it's 10, right? Palmeiras has 7, Atlético Mineiro has 4, Inter has 2, and with players. There's Botafogo, Corinthians, Santos, São Paulo, Fluminense, Vasco, Atlético Paranaense, and Red Bull Bragantino, okay? So it's impressive how many players Flamengo is taking to the cup, right? Flamengo is going to make a lot of money with these players. Yeah, there are 9 players called up. Like I said, Flamengo could receive about 500,000 reais per day, according to an estimate released by ESPN. But none of that matters, right? If you think about what's happening. I got into this subject a lot. More players called up just to say that this isn't really such a good thing. It's good. We're not that good at this, but it's good for the players psychologically because they feel motivated since they're being called up and all. But it's impressive how every time, right, that Flamengo releases players to the national teams, it's impressive that they lose injured players, right? So Flamengo released a statement here condemning what's happening. Let me be clear. To me, this is a statement of repudiation. Flamengo didn't put it that way, but it's a statement where they're condemning what happened there in Uruguay. The information from Coluna do Fla, from Leo Jose, is spot on, that they sped up the process with Arrascaeta, and look at what Flamengo released. The Clube de Regatas do Flamengo informs that during the 2026 FIFA World Cup period, the athletes called up to their respective national teams are under the exclusive responsibility of the national entities they represent. This measure applies to all players who are preparing for the competition, including both Brazilian and foreign athletes. When releasing its players to the national teams, the club sent the confederations a complete report with all the details of the athletes and the physical condition of each one of them. It is important to highlight that while they are with the national teams, the players follow the schedule, protocols, and supervision of the coaching staffs and medical departments of their countries. There is currently no operational connection with Flamengo, and this will continue until they return after their international duties are over. So Flamengo made a point of saying that they sent reports. Flamengo sent the physical preparation reports, okay? All the details of the athletes, the physical condition of each one of them. And Uruguay knew about Arrascaeta's physical condition. They knew they couldn't rush him. Again, the information comes from Coluna do Fla, from Leo Jose, but this statement Flamengo put out shows that there really is some annoyance with what happened and that it has to do exactly with Arrascaeta's situation. That's it. I invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe down below, turn on notifications and the bell, and leave a cool like on the video. Thank you very much for your company. Red and black greetings. This is Flamengo. Thanks.